opportunity to have two individuals come and talk to us tonight. I mentioned earlier that our citizen stream monitoring program is a really important part of the Rock River Coalition. We have been training for over 14 years now, I believe, citizens to go out once a month and monitor, not on something as large as the Rock River, but unwadable streams. And we really need some more of that type of work being done in Dodge County. So we asked our Rock River Coalition Stream Monitoring Coordinator to come and talk about what she does and a little bit more about stream monitoring, the importance and role of citizen monitors. So Nancy Sheehan, I'd like to welcome you.
Can you bring that up for you? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, how exciting to hear Jim's conversation and to be here tonight. I did go online and look a little bit on the Facebook images because I was sitting behind my desk and had to partake of the fun virtually, which is a great aspect of one of the aspects of what you're doing is to give us a vision of the Rock River from the headwaters all the way down to Beloit. And actually, this week I was in Beloit, I was in near Delavan, and now I'm back up here, but I had to do it all by car. So it's really wonderful, and hopefully I get to stay in here the pedaling thus far. So I am the coordinator for the Volunteer Stream Monitoring Program. As Suzanne mentioned, the program has been here in existence, the Coalition's program, for 15 years. But we're also part of a statewide effort. We're very lucky, and it's called the Water Action Volunteer Program. So they are our main partner in our efforts to provide more information on the streams across the state. So for the Rock River Coalition, our goal is pretty basic. We want to help improve the stream and river health through our citizen-based monitoring program. And our motto really is that cleaner streams together. We can do more if we work together. As Suzanne was mentioning about the efforts of the coalition and building relationships, it's really all about coming together, a common purpose to make things better for future generations. So our program is, you can think of it as three basic outcomes. One, we want to collect basic baseline information about streams, but the other piece is that I really love it when I have volunteers stay with the program for more than 1 or 2 years. I think our longest volunteer now has been with the Rock River Coalition's volunteer program for 11 or 12 years, so almost as long. I think Suzanne, you've been here even longer.
The Tamrock folks they started a year before we officially started.
Yes, so that is really fantastic when I have a group or an individual stick with a certain site and collect baseline water quality data over an span of 10 years or 20 years, and then you can really build and understand trends in water quality over time. The other outcome or goal of our program is educational. We really want to build awareness of our streams. Sometimes people can live within 5 miles of a stream or a tributary or a creek and they don't even know it's there. So our stream monitoring program is all about kind of connecting people to the waterway. And when I introduce the stream monitoring program to people who don't know very much about it, I always make an analogy that where our volunteers become like clinics for our streams. Just like we all go to the doctor and they take baseline information, our water, our temperature, our blood pressure, heart rate, we're doing the same for the streams. And like the clinic, like the doctor, if you don't go all the time for checkups, then something could happen that you we don't know about. So here's this poor individual that hasn't been checked on in a very long time, and he's in a bad way. Same thing can happen with our streams if we don't keep an eye on them. Now, full disclosure here, this is not a stream from Wisconsin, this is from China, but it was so bad that I had to put it in here to make my point. So I just wanted to mention some concerns, and Eric might be addressing some of these things and the other speakers today. But we have some issues or challenging issues in front of us when we have aquatic invasive species, and some of the culprits or some of the invasive species that are on our checklist are the New Zealand mud snail, the Asiatic clam, Eurasian milfoil. We also have challenges due to excess nutrients that lead to large algae blooms, low dissolved oxygen, and basically make some of our streams and lakes less fishable and less swimmable. So Suzanne showed you that picture of the Rock River Basin, so I'm going to show it to you here and brag about the waterways in the basin. We have almost 3,000 stream miles in the basin. Unfortunately, over half of them have been listed as impaired for not meeting state water quality standards. So all those red squiggly lines, we want to turn them into blue again. So the red signifies that they are impaired. So our mission is to turn them blue again. And many of the pollutants are due to excess nutrients, phosphorus, and suspended solids runoff. So I want to talk a little bit about what our volunteers do. We have equipment in the back if anybody's interested in taking a peek at some of the equipment that we use. Our volunteers go out to various stream sites once a month, April to October. The falls seem to be getting warmer and warmer, so we try to get volunteers out as long as possible. So we do have some volunteers out for a year, but we usually cut it off when the temperatures start to drop. Our volunteers measure temperature, dissolved oxygen, transparency, biotic index, water flow, and in some cases, they also collect phosphorus samples. So this is just kind of a brief overview of some of the techniques and tools we use. We use very basic, easy to use methods that have been developed again by the Water Action Volunteer Program. And for measuring dissolved oxygen and temperature, we use the thermometer. We also use something called a hack kit. It's a basic chemistry kit. It's less expensive, again, very easy to use. In some cases, when we have funding, we use a multi-parameter meter. This is something that many stream biologists with the DNR use. So when possible, we do try to purchase those with grant money. Our volunteers collect water clarity. They measure how clear the water is with very long, what we call transparency tubes with a little black and white disc at the bottom. Our volunteers also collect macroinvertebrates. This usually is the most fun part, and people love to do this. And we spend hours trying to figure out what aquatic critters live in the streams. But again, our tools are very basic, easy to use. We use a D-net, kitchen basins, spoons, magnifying glasses. Our volunteers also measure water flow. So again, use simple tape measure, use a ball to figure out how fast the water is moving. And again, when possible, either through the DNR has a program that provides funding to do phosphorus sampling, or through grants, we have volunteers who are collecting water samples that are then analyzed for total phosphorus and other nutrients. So the big question is why these particular parameters as opposed to any other? We've looked to the Water Action Volunteer Program. They've developed the protocols and the methods that we use. But the idea behind them, just like for ourselves and our own body, is that there are certain aquatic critters. And if something changes on either side, either the water temperature gets warmer or colder, then the fish that are adapted to that particular range either migrate away or they can die. So, again, I was trying to make analogies to ourselves, and we all need oxygen, and this was something that I found on the web today, and I thought it was kind of interesting. As the temperature rises, you have that increased fire risk, like your brain is on fire. I'm not quite sure what that is, but the point is that for fish and other aquatic critters that rely on a certain amount of dissolved oxygen in the water, that range is really important, and it's important for us to monitor that to make sure that that range is within their suitability. So this is just a schematic that shows that, for trout, they require a lot of dissolved oxygen, so that would be 14 milligrams per liter, whereas some of the other warmer water fish are lower in that dissolved oxygen level scale. Again, this is just another graphic to show that fish, certain types of fish, gravitate or live in cold water streams as opposed to warmer streams. And this was my public participation of my talk to get us thinking about what are some factors that can impact water temperature. And I do know that there's somebody in the audience today that is deeply immersed in water stream temperatures, so I bet that person will have some answers for us. What can increase the stream temperatures? Somebody can give an answer.
Power plants, wastewater treatment plants.
Sunlight.
So we have industrial discharge. So thermal, that's what we call thermal pollution. Warmer water coming into a stream from a point source. You can run off. So Suzanne mentioned the sunlight. Sunlight also heats up all that nice parking space when the rainwater hits the parking lot and heats up, and it goes right into our storm.
The
water.
sunlight hitting the highly sediment streams.
Perfect. There you go. Yes, so with runoff and particles getting into the streams, that water column, the sunlight hits all those particles in the stream and warms up the particles like rocks in the sun and heats up the water. So dissolved oxygen levels are typically higher and colder, highly oxygenated streams as opposed to warmer streams that may be having problems with algae. So factors that decrease water clarity are runoff from construction sites. Again, this is another one of those pictures that end up on the web and in many PowerPoints, but I'm not quite sure where it is taken from. But it's pretty egregious runoff issues, and the same with runoff from agricultural fields and urban areas. And what can impact the water flow, the stream water flow, is withdrawals from irrigation, dams and channelization, and runoff from impervious surfaces. So that was really my talk in terms of just introducing the program. I have a series of training programs that I offer in the spring. I'm having one this Saturday in Clinton, and we'll be doing that training with a partner with the Rock County Parks and Rock County Land Conservation Department. We have over 100 volunteers throughout the Rock River Basin. We are in desperate need for volunteers in Dodge County. I can count on my one hand the amount of volunteers in Dodge County, actually half a hand. So as you travel down the Rock River and do travel around in Horicon town, please promote the program because we really do need volunteers in Dodge County. So any questions? Yes.
Do you work with schools or scout troops, things like that, or is it mostly individual based?
The coalition doesn't really work with schools. I do that individually. So in 2 weeks, I'll be going out with the Whitewater Middle School students and working with 150 high school students, middle school students. So it's hard to work with schools sometimes, and we would love to do more. But again, as Suzanne mentioned, we're a member-based organization, so if we had more donations and more grants to do that kind of work, we would love to be able to do that. Just we can only do so much.
Other questions?
Haven't tempted you to volunteer?
You know, how do you Dodge County and the state of Wisconsin in itself is a real agricultural, I mean, there's farmers everywhere, there's, how do you not have runoff? I mean, who decides what needs to be done in our governmental system? Who decides how you avoid runoff from farm fields, and, you know, where do you go to have these things happen or change?
Well, I mean, I think that's a great answer, a great question, and the answer is very depending on where you are. I think one of the unique projects that we have going on right now is in the Horicon River watershed, where a number of municipalities and villages and towns are really working hard together to reduce the amount of phosphorus loading to streams and lakes. And so that's a case where we have a real partnership of wastewater treatment plants. We have towns and villages saying, hey, you know what, we have to address this as a group across the watershed. We have various friends, groups coming together with neighbors saying, you know, what can we all do within our own backyard, within our own community? And the solutions vary from rain gardens, as we talked about earlier, to the larger efforts that cities do have to do with their storm